Our sages teach us in Pirkei Avot, Ezeu Chacham Halomed Mikol Adam. Who is a wise person? Someone who could learn from every single individual. I want to tell you a story, something that happened here in Florida right before Rosh Hashanah in one of our evening learning programs. We were talking about the idea of teshuvah. And one of the questions that came up was, if you don't follow the Torah, if you don't keep the mitzvot, can you still be considered a good Jew? And we split the teams into different groups, and they debated. And then we asked one representative from each group to come forward and to share some ideas. And a few of the teens said yes, even if you don't keep the mitzvot, you could still be considered a good Jew, as long as you're a good person. But one of the teens that had just moved here less than a month ago from a faraway country, now attends a public school here, said no. If you don't keep the mitzvot, if you don't follow the path of the Torah, how could you be considered a good Jew? And then he seemed to go off onto a tangent and said, when I think about Moses crossing the sea, and then he continued speaking and explaining his opinion, and then he repeated it, and when I think about Moses crossing the sea, and his voice was breaking up, and then a third time he repeated it, and he seemed to be holding back tears. And some of the teens were giggling. Some of them couldn't hold back their laughter, maybe because they weren't sure if he was serious, maybe because they were uncomfortable. And I went to see him after, and I asked him, I said, you spoke about Moses crossing the sea, and you seemed to get emotional. And he said, yes. He said, every time I think about it, I get emotional. And that night I learned something amazing from that teen. There are so many things that we do day to day as Jews. Do we connect to them in that way? Do we connect to them on that level? When he thinks about Moses crossing the sea, he's overwhelmed with emotion. Can we connect to the things that we do on a day-to-day basis in that way? As we go into Yom Kippur, maybe we could take upon ourselves one thing that we do and to find a deeper meaning and to connect to it on a deeper level. Gmar Chatima Tova. שהיו שומעים את שם השם המפורש יוצא מפי